Hi, I'm Beth with TB Properties Buys Land. And a question that I see in the community often is, are land investors scammers? Or how do I know I'm not going to be scammed if I work with a land investor? Okay, so this is a great question because we see a lot of this today in every avenue of life. It seems like there's people out there trying to scam you, and it's a terrible thing. So the first thing that I would want to say is, if you're looking at working with somebody who's interested in purchasing your property, ask them questions. If they are not willing to answer your questions in a clear manner, then that should be a huge red flag to you. The first thing that you should know if you are selling your property, or if you're considering working with a land investor, is what does it mean, or how does it actually work when you sell your property? So the way that you give your property away or you convey it to somebody else is by signing a deed to that person. Okay, so your property is not leaving your ownership until you have a copy of a deed to your property, and it has a legal description of your property, and it has all the information that the county needs, and it's not leaving your ownership until you sign it in front of a notary and it gets recorded at the county level. Okay, so I do know of some real estate investors where they will send a deed over to a landowner, and they ask the landowner to go and sign in front of a notary, and they promise to send a check to them in the mail or some other means. Okay, so I do know some people who will do that, and they're legitimate, and they'll do that for you, but it is just as likely that someone could try to scam you and they receive your deed and they never send you that money. So I would be very wary of sending a notarized and signed deed to somebody without having received payment. Now, another way that some people will work is they'll have a mobile notary come to you, and they'll have you sign in front of that mobile notary, okay? And that mobile notary will, once they receive the signed documents, they'll go ahead and give you a cashier's check. Now, if they give you a personal check, again, it's likely, it is possible, I won't say likely, it is possible that check could bounce if it's a personal check. So if you're going to agree to that, I would make sure that you're getting certified funds in the form of a cashier's check or a bank check, okay? To me, the safest way to sell your property is by going through a title company. All right, the title company is a neutral third party. They will prepare the paperwork. They'll prepare the deed. They'll do the title commitment, and that goes to us, TB Properties Buys Land, as the buyer. They will receive money from the buyer. They will receive cashier's check or a bank wire. And once they know that those funds are there and in place, they're not going to file that signed and notarized deed with the county until that deed is in and all the paperwork is signed and the funds are there. And after that, they disperse the payment to you as the seller, and then we receive a copy of that deed, and then it's recorded there at the county level. Okay, so can you get scammed? Absolutely, you can get scammed, and I caution you to be careful with who you work with. Okay, but if you're working, that's why TB Properties Buys Land always closes through a title company. We do not self-close. We do not promise to send you a check in the mail. We work with a title company, and we send what do they call it? Cashier's check or certified funds is what the title company calls it, to the title company. Okay, and they make sure that everything is done correctly. Another way that you might be curious about or cautious about working with the real estate investor is, what does that contract look like? Is that contract really long? Is it confusing? Is there a lot of fine print? If there is, then I would be a little cautious about working with them. Make sure you understand what it is that you're signing. Make sure you understand who's paying for closing costs, because what if there is a survey that needs to be paid for? Who's paying for the title company? Who's paying for the recording fees? Who's paying for excise tax if you're in a state that requires that? These are questions you want to ask, and you want to make sure that it's spelled out very clearly in that purchase agreement. This is why TB Properties Buys Land, our purchase agreement, is a one simple page. We covered that we're going to pay for all the closing costs, and we spell those out. And we said that the only thing that you as a seller will pay for are any liens. If you have a lien against your property or any encumbrances, then you would pay for that. But the thought is that you don't have that. If you do have liens, you want to let us know in advance, okay, so we can try to work through that. Anyway, I hope I've answered some of your questions. Can you get scammed working with a real estate investor? Absolutely, if you're working with the wrong real estate investor. If you want to work with somebody who's trustworthy, who's closed tons of transactions all over the country. We work with title companies. We have reviews on our website from people we've worked with in the past. Give us a call, shoot us an email, find us on our website. We're happy to work with you. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have because we understand that you want to be clear with what's going on and feel comfortable with the transaction. Thanks again for listening.